So here's the thing, and a bit of context here. In an ideal world, imagine the ideal world when money was no object. We would be living in a country with a faultless healthcare system, a world-leading education system, roads without potholes, gold standard trains that were always on time, and a copper at the end of every road. But we don't have that much money, of course. Remember, the government don't have any money, they only have your money. So it's a balancing act. We get it. If we all paid 90% in tax, then our utopian dream of a hyper-efficient, world-beating gaff called the UK would be realised. We get it. But it ain't like that. There's always a balance. And that, of course, applies to defence as well. If we want to go back to the heady days when Britannia ruled the waves and we could muster a battery of tanks and a squadron of aircraft to fight any war in any place at any time, then we have to pay for it. We currently spend 2.3% of GDP on defence spending, set to rise to 2.5%, as we heard today, due to a cut, and this is the interesting bit, a cut in international aid. This is fascinating, but on a number of levels. I mean, if you want to pick up specifically on this point, if you want to look at the kind of politics and politicians we have, Keir Starmer says he will increase defence spending to 2.5%, and this will be funded by a cut in international aid. I mean, this goes against everything that's in the very marrow of the Labour Party, but they've realised they are losing the room, not by the month, but by the hour at the moment. This could be possibly one of the most sensible things they've ever done. The international aid budget was already cut back under Boris Johnson, and whilst the Labour Party pledged, and I think I'm right in saying in their manifesto, they even pledged to Labour is committed to restoring development spending at the level of 0.7% of gross national income as soon as fiscal circumstances allow. So, you know, we know that foreign aid is not something Labour would ordinarily tinker with. But tinker with it they have. So we've now got this 2.5% guarantee. However, Boris Johnson has called for Britain to increase its defence spending to 3% to help guarantee Europe's security against Russian aggression. The former PM was speaking during a visit to Kyiv on Monday to mark the third anniversary of the Russian invasion. His trip comes ahead, of course, of Starmer's visit to Washington later this week to present Donald Trump with proposals that include Britain boosting its defence spending. Now, we've had a lot of heated debates, of course, on this of late about how the UK and Europe, in wider terms Europe, is not playing its part. Fellow Brits passionately arguing Trump is right and we are wrong. I get it. But are you willing to pay for it? 0344 499 1000. Would you be prepared to pay more tax for defence? Because that's what it ultimately comes down to. We can tinker around with international aid, and that's what Starmer has rather sensibly and prudently done on this occasion. But that takes us to 2.5%. I know there's a lot of figures being thrown around on all of this, and, you know, defence spending isn't usually the bread and butter of phone-ins and debate. It's the sort of thing your eyes gloss over a little bit and you think, oh, let's just allow some very experienced military people to deal with that because they're kind of best placed to do the kind of spending stuff. So we don't need to think about it because we've got very impressive people with very impressive titles, with very impressive salaries, who are paid to deal with that kind of stuff. But the bottom line, if you want a greater defence budget, then you've got to pay for it. So if you are one of those that are saying, yeah, Trump's right, we should pay, we should put more into the kitty, are you happy for your taxes to go up in order to pay for that? And as I said at the beginning, you could play that game on just about anything, right? I mean, you could talk about it on health and education and roads and policing, all of those areas. Yeah, we could have anything we wanted if we increase taxation. That's the only way it can ultimately happen. You can tinker here and take a little bit from that budget, but if you really want a tip-top, shiny, fit for the 21st century defence system, and you want it to be 3% of spending, you've got to put up taxes. So put your money where your mouth is. If you are in favour of more monies being spent on defence, are you therefore in favour of raising taxes accordingly?